how they said, go, we've got planes coming in or something. Once they'd landed, they didn't know where they were. That's when we came in.
Hi everybody, my name is Zach Dunn from Global Veteran Stories, and before we get into our veteran story today, I just want to introduce myself and my project. Global Veteran Stories is a video documentary series I started back in 2021, dedicated to preserving the stories of World War II, Korean War, and Vietnam War veterans. Inspired by the story of my own granddad, who served in the Second World War in the British Airborne as a paratrooper in Northern Africa, Germany, and France. Now I want to tell you how you can help out with my mission. As of August 2024, I've interviewed over 50 veterans from 8 different countries, and my trips to interview these veterans are funded from people just like you. You can donate through my mission through Patreon, where you can set up a monthly donation subscription, or through my website or PayPal, where you can choose any dollar amount that you like. Right now, I'm a one-man show, and finding these veterans is becoming more and more difficult. So please, if you know a World War II, Korean War, or Vietnam War veteran, whether a family member, a friend, neighbor, or part of your community, please visit my website and fill out a contact form, and I would love to help preserve their stories. Every day, we lose more and more veterans. This history needs to be saved and preserved for future generations. Thank you so much for your support. Now, let's get into our veteran story. As Hitler and Germany invaded Poland on September 1st, 1939, France and Great Britain immediately declared war on Germany. During this time, England was continuously hounded by German bombing raids, destroying many houses, communities, seemingly overnight. In 1940, when Winston Churchill took over the war effort, millions of brave men and women joined the service, wanting to do their part, ending the war in Europe. Audrey Hines, from Surrey, England, joined the WAAF, or the Women's Auxiliary Air Force, in 1941 at the age of 20. Audrey served as a driver for the flying command of the RAF Manson, at the time England's most busiest airport. I sat down with Audrey Hines in January of 2024 in her home in Etobicoke, Ontario, to preserve her stories on video.
Audrey Hines, and Hines, H-I-N, not like the soup.
Not like the soup, okay. And where were you born, Audrey?
Surrey, England.
So when is your birthday, Audrey?
April Fool's Day, April 1.
1922? 1921?
Yes.
So you'll be 103 in this April?
Yes.
Wow.
If I make it, I will be.
Oh, that's
yes,
amazing,
yes,
Audrey.
Yes. And I walk half a mile every day.
Wow.
Because even this morning I walked. It's cold, but as long as there isn't a wind, it's okay. And if it's raining, I walk in the garage.
Wow.
Because if you don't walk, you'll go.
Well, you'll start to stiffen up, right? And
Well, you have to, it's too easy to sit when you get to being a little ancient.
When the war started, what do you remember hearing? How did you find out?
But I do remember that my brother had taken me to Guildford, which is about 13 miles from us, and they had a swimming pool, what we called baths, swimming baths, and we didn't have one any closer than that, and my brother took me, and we came home, and my mother was crouched in the corner of her bedroom because the air raid siren had gone.
Air raid sirens were used to warn those living in the cities on an impending German air attack, allowing them to either move into shelter or prepare in their own homes. A sound that many in England would come to hear very often.
We all got into war efforts, whatever. And at first, I went to Weybridge and made Wellington bombers. Made,
Oh, you were in the factory.
On the line or whatever it was. Much closer than that, but anyway, wow. That's what we were building. Wow. And I thought, no, this is not for me. So that's when I joined up. I joined the WAAF, which is the Women's Auxiliary Air Force.
Can you tell me a little bit about that? What was your job? What did you have to do in the WAAF?
Well, what I chose to do, I mean, I forget what I did initially with something, but what I did really for the war, I was at flying control, where they would be bringing in or sending out aircraft. We were the first aerodrome in England. If they came from the continent, which obviously they were bombing Germany and so on. Manston came to me. Manston was the first airport in England. Where I came in at this time with this, I was at flying control, and aircraft would come back, and they would come back, never mind that this wasn't their aerodrome, but they had to get back and get down. So they didn't know the airport. So we were sent out from control to go, and I drove a Jeep, an open Jeep, and it had a big sign on the back which said, "Follow me." So when they were down, we would have to go out to the runways, and we would take them to where they could park, you see, because they would get into Manston as a, thank goodness we're here, so to speak, but then they didn't know where to go. So we would go out and get them, and they would follow us, and we would take them. I heard some interesting things sometimes. When pilots would get out of the plane, I would have taken him and I remember one, and he got out and he looked at that wing, and there was a big hole, and he used some colourful language and said, "No wonder we had a Lister port," because of course the hole in the wing had made a bit of difference to a plane. That was one, I always remember that chap saying that, yeah. As I say, it was colourful language.
Did you enjoy your time as a driver?
Well, I don't know how you can say enjoy. I mean, this was war. But it was a job that I liked, because I liked driving and mechanical transportation. And so we would bring in planes. No, we were there to guide planes in. And once they'd landed, they didn't know where they were. That's when we came in. I think we were in 3 shifts. I can't remember whether we were on 2 people at a time or just 1, but anyway.
Do you remember the basic training?
Well, when you initially joined up, of course, you were put through your paces just like a soldier or anything else. You had to learn all of of being in the army. I mean, we were in the Air Force, but you still had to have all the discipline and so on like that. We were in transportation. So we were just put through what the pros and cons were of being in the RAF, or being in the WAAF anyway, yeah.
Did you join up with any friends or?
No, not that I remember, no, not at all. I became friends and became a friend with one girl, became her bridesmaid and so on when she got married.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, yes. Her sister was the first WAAF killed in the war. Hers is Monica's sister. I don't know, she was something, not transportation, but whatever. Oh, that's a long time ago. Yes.
What other interactions did you have with pilots or the ground crew?
Very little.
Very little?
No, there wasn't time. I mean, everybody had to do his own thing. You couldn't mess around with things. You had to. But we did have the first American squadron of what? On our airport. I forget what those planes were, but we were as I've said, Manston was the first airport on that corner of England.
Yeah.
So it was important to come and go. I was just trying to think of where I was at the end of the war. 1939, 45. Oh, I never left England.
Yeah.
At home, before I joined up and was away, we would entertain Canadian soldiers and so on, and there was a local village club, and there were activities that would go on in that. But then, because we were, Hindhead was on the main London-Portsmouth road, so there were a lot of activities in the way of things doing that. But be it Headley, there was a station. I can't think of what the proper word is for it, but all the soldiers and so on, maybe one encampment, all of Canadians. And of course they would drift into the local pub and so on like that. And I wasn't old enough or into pubs at all. In fact, I don't think I even drank in those days at all, no. I can't even remember how old I was. Old enough to drive, anyway.
Old enough to drive.
Yes, yes.
Did you get married during the war? Or
No.
Yeah, was it just after?
No, a long time after.
Did you marry an Englishman, or who did you?
No, Canadian, yeah, here, when I was in Canada.
So when did you come to Canada?
I don't know, 1957 or 58 or something like that. Yes, I became a Canadian citizen. That was impressive to become a Canadian. Always had one foot in England, though. Yeah.
Why did you choose to come to Canada? Did you have family here? Why Canada?
My sister was a war bride and came out to visit. Went home and came back again and stayed. I worked for the OPP for a while.
What did you do for the OPP?
Office work.
Oh, yeah.
At one time, I think I could have quoted most of the criminal code numbers.
Really?
Got to know them, yes.
Wow.
Yes. You're making me think about things that I haven't thought about. I can see that road. Yes, and I can see a runway, and I can even see the flying control headquarters. And our little jeeps were parked beside it, because, you know, the moment you told it, you had to go. That was it. We're parked out beside your door. How they said, go, we've got planes coming in or something. Trying to think of how they communicated with us, because they were up watching and so on, but there must have been something, because somehow we must have been told to get and go. I've been around a few years and I've forgotten a lot.
That's okay, Audrey. That's okay, no problem.
Well, that's about it, isn't it?
Okay. Well, do you have any piece of advice, or maybe if you want to have one message for kids that see this video or the next generation, what kind of piece of advice or message would you want to tell young kids or?
Oh dear. Well, the one thing is I'd hope that they'd never have to experience a war, despite the way the world is at the moment. But I would say you do what you can for your country and fellow man. That's the real thing you have to think about.
And I just want to say, I really appreciate your time, Audrey, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. I'm glad that we don't have to think about that right now, but I do feel bothered about the way our world is going with the Middle East and Gaza, you know. Do you think the young people today are thinking about what it means for one person to so dislike the other because they're, gee, why can't we all
Get along?
like one another? Even if you don't like them, you can stand them and without killing them.
I totally agree. Before I go, if I could get a quick photo with you, Audrey, if that's okay. A photograph with you, is that okay?
With you?
Yes, with
Oh,
me.
that would be nice.
Yes, absolutely.
And do you give me one then?
Yes, what I'll do is
What's this? Oh,
This is the recording device